When can somebody, because, you know, I think we can all relate to, there's been times in our life where we're losing a lot of sleep because maybe we lost a loved one, or we lost a pet, or we went through a traumatic experience, or something happened where you just can't help, right? I mean, you've been through this experience. It's not something normal that you deal with.
Right.
What about the people, and that's something that we can get through, but what about the people that this is a long-term thing? Like, okay, it's been a week, it's been a month, okay, that's normal. But now it's going on 6 months.
Yeah.
It's going on 7 months that I've not been able to sleep. Hello everyone, my name is Victoria Cabrera with the Medicare Space, an insurance agent here in San Antonio helping the senior community, and today I'm sitting here with a very special guest, Dr. Necco with Health Texas. Am I saying that correctly? Because I know there's a G in there.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, great. Am I the only one that asks you that question, or do you get it all the time?
Maybe like 95% of the time I get the same.
So I'm here with Dr. Necco today, and we're going to be discussing a few things that I feel that's very important to talk about, especially right now with everything that's going on. I know that there's typically a lot of stress right now just because, you know, we've been at home for a really long time. You know, so one of the big topics we're going to talk about today is going to be insomnia, which I feel that it's perfect for everybody to listen into if you stopped on this video. So, but first, Dr. Necco, we kind of want to get to know you. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? We know you're a primary care doctor, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Are you in internal medicine, or can you tell us a little bit of background on that?
So I went to school in the Dominican Republic. I was raised and born there, and after I finished, I did work some years, maybe 4 or 5 years there before I came to the States and did basically my training. So I did internal medicine for around 3 years in New Jersey, and then I moved to Philly to pursue my fellowship in geriatric medicine.
Oh, awesome.
I do like to work with seniors, and I think that that's my passion because there's a lot of room to improve in that area population.
Yeah, I think that there, especially with our seniors, and our seniors know, because when I meet with clients at the kitchen table, a lot of things that they say are like, you know, I just can't find a doctor that I really vibe with, or that I feel like they don't listen. And so we just want to let them know that, you know, you have a doctor here that's compassionate, and that, like you said, that you found a calling in the geriatric medicine. Yeah. Is geriatric medicine specifically for seniors?
It's the training, yes. It's for seniors. It's for 60 and older, 65 and older, depending on where you look at government or either the training. But essentially, it goes into focus in what it seems to it's called the geriatric syndromes. You know, things big like dementia, sleep disorders, and falls and things like that. So we focus in that care. It's the same as internal medicine, but I gotta say, to be honest, it's more focused in quality of life.
Gotcha.
We do focus more in getting our seniors healthy in a timely manner, but individualized to every single one of them, like every patient, every time. Yeah. And we focus on that to prevent basically hospitalization, to prevent pain, to improve the quality of life overall.
What can you tell somebody out there that's listening? Because I know I experience it right now. I get phone calls every day. Yeah. Where my clients are calling me like, I just don't want to go to the doctor right now because, well, one, the access of care is very limited, and two, I just don't want to get out. And then what happens is they think it's an allergy infection, is actually could be something worse. What can you tell those seniors that are actually waiting to receive care? What would you say to them right now?
So something that we're blessed to have in Health Texas is the telemedicine, which is something innovative, and some of our patients have some difficulty when it comes to technology. I personally do, but it's a really good, helpful tip. And having that relationship with your primary care provider, especially during these times where anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, it's a prevalence thing. It's that every day. I would say yes. You know, having that relationship with your primary care doctor. We're just a phone call away. We can always advise over the phone. We can always get to a regular visit, but instead of you coming, we can talk to you. And
even after the fact, you guys are going to be here creating those relationships with them. That's one thing I always loved about Health Texas. And you know, my fiance actually sees one of the doctors within Health Texas, and we actually had to receive a telemedicine visit, and it was a good process. Like, I was like, oh wow, this is actually pretty easy.
Yeah,
Like we tell our customers every day to use this process, but it's actually the staff and everybody explains the process very well. And the doctors are just helping us walk through these things.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned, getting back to, you had mentioned something about dementia and within the geriatric care, but you also mentioned in there the stress and anxiety, and that could cause sleeplessness. Can you talk on maybe why these seniors can experience the anxiety, or why the anxiety is high right now? I mean, is it because we're home? Is there something that if we're home all the time that we're going to experience these symptoms more, or what could that be?
Yeah, so you know, human beings are social beings. We're created not to be alone, but to socialize and to be involved in the community. For seniors, most importantly, because most of them are already retired, they don't have a schedule set up. Okay, I'm going to wake up at 7, I'm going to go to work at 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave at 5, dinner, kids, bed.
Yeah.
So that structure is not there to begin with. So when you add to the point like, well, I cannot even go to the park now in a safely manner, or I'm scared I'm gonna, you know, get sick or whatnot out there, it adds a level of anxiety that was not there to begin with. Being at home in 4 walls, not able to see the sun, creates a lot of problems when it comes to the elderly, because that affects what we call the circadian rhythm. That they don't realize it's daytime, so they take a lot of naps.
What can you say that again?
So it's called circadian rhythm. Everybody has it, and it's natural. It happens natural. Like our body is made to wake up when there's light out.
Oh, wow.
But if you don't see the light, you will think that it's nighttime. So your body will still running low and kind of a mellow. And then you tend not to function as appropriate as you should. That's why we encourage our elderly, hey, if you can't just go for a 20 minutes, 10 minutes walk, at least sit on the porch. Walk your dog outside and work in the garden, some kind of sun environment outside, so they can tell the brain unconsciously, hey, I'm awake and I should be moving.
Well, you know, these seniors see so much on the news. It's like, don't be in the sun because you're going to get a skin condition. Don't get in the, you know, so it's like the sun is actually good for us. I mean, it's funny that you say that, because I used to have these like blackout curtains in my room, and I would never want to wake up, but then I'd feel groggy all day. And now I have windows in my new house. We have windows everywhere, and I feel good when I wake up. So it's crazy that you said that. I learned something new. I'm hoping you guys are learning something new with Dr. Necco. Getting back to the anxiety, is it, you know, I know with me, like I've had a pretty bad month, okay? And sometimes, and it's not just our seniors that go through this, it could be just anybody that's listening right now. And we go through things in life that sometimes that are not in our control.
That's right.
And it can not only impact our mental, but it's all like a trickle-down effect. What else can come out of anxiety? I mean, obviously it can lead to depression.
Right.
And then it can lead to, we think, oh, we're depressed, we want to sleep all day, but it could actually be the reverse effect.
Right, right.
Correct?
You know, the human body is so smart. Whoever did it, if you believe in a higher being, it was very smart to begin with. We need activity, but we also need rest. And during the time of rest is where our neurons, our cells, and all the tissues that we are in our body regenerate. If you do not let your body take rest, whether it's taking naps, whether it's the sleep, and having some kind of structure throughout your daily living, you disrupt that rhythm. So once you disrupt that, you can create more anxiety. Now, anxiety is not only the feeling of being stressed out, uncertainty, like you said, not having control, but it also has take part in what we call in medicine somatization. So when people that have anxiety, they start having back pains, they start having leg pains, they start having headaches and things like that. Your body is telling you, hey, there's something wrong, please do something about it. So it does create a disrupted environment throughout the whole ecosystem that is our body. And you can see patients that it doesn't matter how many medications we give them, how many therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, if there is a situation where his psyche, his mental capacity, where it's just because of anxiety, depression is altered, ultimately that will affect the overall quality of life on a daily basis.
That's so powerful, because you had mentioned, you know, the anxiety doesn't just create the mental. but it has an impact on the physical part of your bodies. And I think, when you feel, you've been in those panic modes where you're feeling the heavy breathing, or it's like, oh my gosh, why am I sweating all of a sudden? My arms are tingling, and you just don't know what, and then you stress even more because you think you're having a heart attack or something's going on.
Right.
When you guys feel like that, it's important to reach out to your primary care doctor. Yeah, we might, what's the saying, better safe than sorry?
That's right.
Because like you said, our body might be telling us something.
Right.
Now, with the anxiety, I go back to the anxiety because I can relate to that right now at this moment. And it's causing me lately a lot of sleepless nights.
That's right.
And I don't know if it's just me overthinking and just thinking all these things through, or is it lack of exercise? Is it lack of drinking water? I think it's everything. But can you talk a little bit about on that?
So the way that we approach anxiety is not per se has a diagnosis. It's a symptom. It's the body telling you that there is something else underneath it, right? So whenever you don't have what we call sleep hygiene or certain things that you do in order to prepare you for a good night's sleep, you disrupt that rhythm cycle. Some simple examples are not exercising, your diet, if you eat heavy 2-3 hours before you go to bed, things that have a lot of spice, and especially in San Antonio, where
put some hot sauce and everything.
But it's delicious. But ultimately you can have reflux. You wake up in the middle of the night with reflux, you feel like you're having a heart attack. No, you just have a reflux because you ate very late. Some people relate, and we have patients that tell, I have a worse nightmare. Probably because you ate 10 tamales that night or something like that. So it can affect that. Things like, for instance, exercising. Yes, exercising is great, but we do recommend it before around 6-8 p.m. or before that. Not to exercise 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. Because remember, when we exercise, we release endorphins. And that's basically the natural adrenaline drug that the body produces. Other things that can affect is watching TV while you're in bed. Bed is made to sleep. Basically, it's not made to watch TV all day, because your body thinks, I'm in bed, I'm going to bed, but I have a light in front of me that is triggering my brain to open my pupils and see something during the dark. So when we when we disrupt that rhythm, we can cause insomnia and more anxiety. And blood pressure will go up because we're not resting. Depression can also affect because we're not resting, and we feel fatigue in the morning. So it's a whole chain of action that happens when you disrupt that rhythm.
When can somebody, because I think we can all relate to, there's been times in our life where we're losing a lot of sleep because maybe we lost a loved one, or we lost a pet, or we went through a traumatic experience, or something happened where you just can't help, right? I mean, you've been through this experience. It's not something normal that you deal with.
Right.
What about the people, and that's something that we can get through, but what about the people that this is a long-term thing? Like, okay, it's been a week, it's been a month, okay, that's normal. But now it's going on 6 months. It's going on 7 months that I've not been able to sleep. At that point, is there a diagnosis, or what would we do at that point?
So that's like 3 questions in one.
I know.
but essentially when you have a grieving process, right? Somebody close to you passed, and you have that loss that you unfortunately don't have any control of. There's a period of 1 to 3 months that we call it the normal grieving. If it's more than that, then we call it an adjustment disorder. And if it goes more than that, then it might be depression. Obviously, seeking for medical help will be the first thing. Just pick up the phone and call your PCP because you're concerned about that. Grieving can last up to at times up to a year. And it's normal because you lost a loved one. Now, when this disrupts your activity of daily living, when you cannot function at work, when you feel fatigue in the morning, when you have crying spells all of a sudden in the middle of the day, just because you have that thought and that person for a period of time in which is considered to be too long, more than a year, those are red flags that we ought to pay more attention to. That's not to say that it's set in stone. Everybody is different. So you take individualized care and evaluate that. But insomnia and sleep problems can be caused by organic things, thyroid diseases, heart disease, can cause by sleep apnea, for instance, which is the inability for the body to get some rest because there is a discrepancy in the hormones, and you can have obstructions here in the throat, having a large neck, being a little obese, you know, your tones falls down, and basically you cannot get air. So those things are signs that there might be something going on.
Oh. Well, I mean, that's great information, because somebody that's watching, they might think, gosh, why can't I sleep? I haven't gone through anything bad. I haven't lost a loved one. Nothing's changed in my environment, but maybe they're eating a little too much, you know, of something, or now they're eating heavy at night, or like you said, we're eating all this spicy food now, or there might be an underlying issue that we don't know about. I mean, that's great that you said that, because a lot of people associate sleeplessness and insomnia with traumatic experience. That in my brain, at least I do. I always think of, when I hear insomnia, I think, well, they can't sleep because something's going on mentally in their head, or in my head, or whoever is going through insomnia at this time. But like you said, it could be something that's an underlying condition that we just was out of our control, or maybe within our control, maybe that we can change. And I mean, Dr. Necco is providing some great information with us today. Is there anything else that you can add to because I think insomnia is not talked about enough, or the sleepless nights, or lack of sleep. I don't think it's talked about enough, and how important it really is to our overall health. Is there anything more that you would like to add that we didn't cover, that's something that for people to look out for, or something that we can do now? Is there anything that you want to add to the insomnia portion?
So I would say it's one of those things that nobody talked about, but in some series I was just searching, up to 70% of the elderly population will have insomnia at one point in their lives, and is underdiagnosed because people don't talk about it. So that's one of the things that us as internal medicine, especially geriatrics, we ask. How do you sleep? Do you feel tired in the morning, and things like that? And it's an open conversation. We're here to listen and to try to minimize the burden that lack of sleep can cause. Things simple, like you mentioned, you know, what we eat, what we don't eat. Drinking, for instance, coffee after 3 p.m. can disrupt that, like you mentioned. Substances, sometimes it's your medications. You know, all the medications have side effects. So we review that, and we make sure, okay, maybe this antidepressant is causing the insomnia, so let's switch it. So those are the medication review, the past medical history review that we do on a daily basis here in Health Texas. That we try to, as much as possible, maintain a good quality of life, and that includes the sleep. It's not only heart disease, or, you know, lung problems, infections, and, you know, cysts that you might have to remove. But if you don't rest, and if you don't have a good quality of sleep, your body will not regenerate as it should. I think there's
and this is just my opinion, because when I grew up, people would talk about insomnia and like, oh, don't talk about that. That's you know, people have mental issues when they have insomnia. It's like, so I grew up thinking, oh, insomnia is a mental issue, right? And that was probably the, you know, because the way I just didn't learn the right way, maybe. And so I think maybe some people can relate here, that they think if they say that out loud to somebody, that there's a stigma to it, that there might be like, oh my God, if I tell my kids, or if I tell my brothers or sisters, or even my doctor that I feel like I have insomnia or can't sleep, something's mentally wrong with me. And people just, I don't know why there's a big stigma around that. And I think it's very important to, like you said, it's an open conversation that you should have with your doctor about these things. It's a safe environment.
Exactly. It's an open and closed relationship, right? You have to be honest with me, but at the same time, I'll be honest with all my patients, in which they'll feel comfortable in sharing those things, because ultimately it will affect their health. And we ask questions about your diet, about your exercise, things that outside of just prescribing a pill. I noticed that, you know, a lot of elderly, a lot of geriatric population just take these over-the-counter things like Tylenol PM, for instance. it has Benadryl on it, which is a very common medication that we give for allergies. Now, the side effect of it, it has this component called an anticholinergic, and it's very detrimental on the geriatric population. It can cause falls, dry mouth, constipation, a lot of side effects that they really don't need. So that's one of the things. Oh no, I just take an over-the-counter sleeping aid, but you have to know for sure what is on it.
Yeah.
And just going back to your questions, things that I like take out point that I will recommend: herbal teas, valerian root, low dose melatonin, those kinds of things. Meditation will help as well. Will be more beneficial in the long run than any medication that I can rehab physician can provide and can prescribe.
I'm glad you're saying that, because you're one of the few doctors that I hear that, and that's why I love Health Texas so much, because I can relate to the things that you guys talk about. But one thing that you said that really kind of, wow, you had mentioned earlier, almost 70% of the elderly population at some point deal with insomnia.
That's right.
And then going back right now, what you said is that I really liked the meditation part, because a lot of people hear meditation, oh, that's for weird stuff and for people that,
yogis.
And you hear, oh, that's not, you just hear all this stuff about meditation, but meditation really is just being present.
That's right.
In your thought,
that's
right? Or trying not to have a thought, but just clearing out all the noise. And I feel that that's so important, even if it's, how much time would you recommend for somebody? 5-10
minutes. It could be driving, it could be in your office. I do it every day on my lunch break. I take 5-10 minutes of my time, and I just basically focus on my breathing. In 5 seconds, out 10 seconds. And that will lower your blood pressure, increase the blood flow into your brain, because it does have a science behind it. It's just not things that yogis do all the time. It does have a science, and it does work. So throughout the day, you do it 2 or 3 times. Maybe start a lunch break, maybe an hour before you go to bed. Maybe in the same bed you start having as you said, those thoughts of thoughtfulness, like not having any thoughts at all. And that ultimately in the long run will help you even more than any medication that we doctors can prescribe. And some of those things that I like that you said, these other these natural things, the teas and the meditation and some vitamins, just because the first thing, like you said, is what do you guys do when you feel something wrong? What's the first thing people do? Google, what do I have? What is this? Oh my God, I have cancer. It's like, well, don't do that. I mean, it's important to educate yourself. But the first thing that's going to happen is going to say, you should take Tylenol, or you should take this, or you should take that. Over-the-counter medications that you might not really need. It could be as simple, like you said, drinking a tea before you go to bed. That's right.
Or just being, telling your spouse, hey, be quiet for a second, I'm going to meditate for a little bit, And these are things that unfortunately, it's not just that. There's not a lot of people just telling our seniors to do this. It's somebody like yourself that has to say, look, if you're dealing with this, these are things that you can actually do and implement right now, and that'll help your situation until you can talk to Dr. Necco about, in a safe environment, about your situation a little bit more. Is there anything else that you want to tell the audience? I know we talked about a lot, and I appreciate your time. I mean, I actually love this interview just because, we're all going through something right now. And just know that there's somebody to help, right? And I always say too, like, it's okay to be alone, but also talk to somebody. Just even telling a friend how you feel, it sometimes lets off a lot of burden. You might see better sleep.
I mean, you nailed it, especially now where social distancing has become the norm. Social distance does not mean that you are going to socially isolate yourself, especially with the elderly, because they cannot see the grandkids, and the kids cannot visit that much as they used to. But a simple phone call, a letter, an email, some kind of communication, and try to maintain your schedule, your structures as much as the same as possible. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, that would being detrimental for our elderly population that is already retired.
Yeah.
These are supposed to be the best years of their life.
Yes.
And we want to keep it that way as much as possible. Obviously, we have health care providers here. We're always in the front, and we're always able to help. Just give us a call, and we can try to minimize that stressful situation, that anxiety that you're feeling, not only with pills, but also with other means, a non-pharmacological approach.
Come talk to Dr. Necco, because she has a very calming energy. I just talking to you, I feel good. Like, I'm just like, you know, like I said, I was telling you before, I've gone through some stuff these last few weeks, and I just already feel like, you know, a lot better just talking to you with your energy. Thank you so much.
You're
I mean,
welcome.
I really appreciated this talk with Dr. Necco today. I know you guys did. There was a lot. You know, if you need to hear more, or you need to talk more specifically about your situation, I know we kind of just briefly scratched the surface with the insomnia and different things. But if you're feeling that you need to talk to somebody directly about this, talk to a medical professional, talk to your doctor. If you don't have a primary care doctor that you can talk to, are you accepting new patients, Dr. Necco?
Definitely, yes. We're always open. We've never closed.
Okay. Okay. So Dr. Necco is accepting new patients. So if you feel that you're not getting that care with your doctor right now, you have somebody that you can talk to about this. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. I mean, this was fun. I hope I just want to let you know what the things that we've talked about, you've helped at least one person that's listening here today. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, Dr. Necco with Health Texas. We appreciate you guys. Be sure to share this video with your family and friends and anybody that you feel that needs to see this message today. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.